Good morning, spacemen. Today we're going to explore a game that has taken the space gaming world by storm, SpaceBourne 2. Have you ever imagined what it would be like to live in space, fly a spaceship and explore the galaxies? Well, SpaceBourne 2 brings all of that and more to your fingertips. It's a space exploration game that allows you to navigate through the cosmos, visit planets, and engage in thrilling space battles in space and on the ground. With really good graphics and immersive gameplay, SpaceBourne 2 has captured the hearts of a lot of space gamers out there. And what's even more exciting is that the game uses cutting-edge AI technology to bring the characters to life. Imagine playing a game where the characters speak to you, respond to your questions, and react to your choices. That's precisely what SpaceBourne 2 delivers thanks to the innovative use of AI technology. And that is brought to you by just a single developer. We're going to talk about the good things and the bad things of SpaceBourne 2. So stay tuned as we dive into the game. There you go.
Shield breach, target destroyed.
SpaceBourne 2 starts off in a distant world. Looks a little bit like a Star Wars universe, though it is pretty unique. We're starting on a planet that looks like a long-forgotten colony, and we have some troubles with our auntie who wants us to get a job and earn some money. So we're trying to get our first tasks on this planet and get off of it with our first rusty ship. This is the start of a very long tutorial that SpaceBourne 2 throws you in, and that tutorial will keep on for the next hours. As I'm playing the game now for almost 20 hours, I still have not reached the point where I could say I have seen everything that the game offers. This is how big this game is. And as I already mentioned, this game is developed by a single developer, which makes it even more spectacular because of the sheer massive gameplay elements that you are going to discover. Of course, not everything works extremely well. Not everything is polished to the last bit. The graphics lag here and there, some animations lag here and there, sound effects are okay-ish. The AI voices are AI voices at the moment. They are not extremely good, but hey, every voice acting is better than no voice acting in my opinion.
Let's discuss the details then.
The details.
Mirax, a world organization leader, has devised a prison raid plan. We will need to join this raid and extract Anchor before the prison is destroyed.
But overall, the feeling is that you have so many options to do. You have so many things to do that you are never running out of possibilities what to do next. Let's start with a few basic things. You have your own spaceship, you can fly around, but you can also leave that spaceship either in space or on a planet. You can leave this ship. So yeah, there is atmospheric flight, though very limited at the moment. There is space flight, of course. There are some regions where you need to go into your space suit and fly onto a space station, but there are also regions where you are on a planet and walk to a base or some underground structure. Fighting in space feels a lot like Everspace 2. If you ever played Everspace, then you know what I mean. It's very arcadey, especially with the view from outside. It feels fast, engaging, basically everything you need from space fighting. You have different weapon types. You have like weapons for draining shields, you have weapons for destroying the hull, you have missiles, and you have torpedoes for bigger targets. On top of that, you do not need to be alone. You have a wing that you can equip with pilots, but you will need to wait a little bit until you get this ability. So progressing through the main story is also a main part of the game because that will allow you to do more things in the game and will open up possibilities along the way.
Landing gear deployed.
Come on, land. Thank you. Whoa! Ground combat, on the other hand, feels not that good polished. It is, though, also engaging, but the AI just simply runs around a little bit headless. They are not very bullet spongy. It's actually the other way around. You are the bullet sponge, which is not that bad, since you as a player do not get frustrated that way. The weapons feel nice to fire. There is at the moment only the third-person mode, and you can only shoot weapons when your foot are on the ground. This kind of fighting reminds me a lot of Mass Effect 1, where the look and feel was pretty similar. So it's not that bad. On top of these basics of fighting, you have tasks to do. Not only your main story that you're going to follow, but also you can engage into side quests, either completely random, when you find an NPC on a station that has got an exclamation point above his head, then you can talk to this NPC and get a quest from them. But more streamlined are guilds. You have freelancer guilds, bounty hunter guilds, you have exploration guilds and mining guilds, and all of them offer different tasks. Most of the time, these guilds offer similar tasks, but therefore you have the ability to choose from a different variety of guilds. Every one of these guilds can be leveled. Upgrading the level of the guild gives you access to more and better gear, not only for your spaceship, but also for yourself fighting on the ground.
You don't know me. My name is Cole. I am a technician. I set up the system I mentioned before.
On top of that, the guilds are not the only thing. You are also building your own faction. And here we dive into gameplay that is similar to X4 Foundations or, for example, Mount and Blade. So you govern your own faction, you assign people to different tasks, you make fighting wings, ground or space fighting or exploration wings that then do tasks for you. You will need them later in different modes that I'm going to explain in a second. Your faction has a headquarter, but you can expand that faction by taking other stations and building on top of those stations. At the moment, I don't know if building on top of stations is already implemented, but you can take already other stations. As far as I know, station building should be also a thing in the future, but is not yet in the game, so I'm not assuming that this is something SpaceBourne 2 will get. As always with games, you should take them as they are and not look at the roadmap and expect how this game will look like in the future. So at the moment, space stations are only conquered, not built. Once you established your faction, you can do diplomacy in the good way or in the bad way. So you can have allies with which you trade, which are helping you, which you do tasks for, or you can go to war with specific factions. And just lately, the developer added the possibility for NPC factions to take your bases. And here I'm going to talk a little bit about base sieging, because this is a completely different mechanic. Fighting for bases is playing a little bit like chess, but instead of just moving the parts, you are then taking part into the fight yourself. So you develop a plan when you are taking out a station. Stations do always have support buildings, and you need to take those support buildings first before you can take the station itself. You have a specific strike force, which you leveled up beforehand so that it matches the strike force that you are engaging with. And then you build a plan, a multi-step plan, so that you tell your forces, go engage this station first. At the next stage, split up and engage into two stations, or just stick together and go to the next one. And you can define which steps to do first and what to take next. After that, you are joining the fight, you go into the system, you join the forces, you fight with them, and you enable every next step through the in-game UI in your ship. So you don't need to go on the map again. If you planned out something really nice, you just simply go, fight with them, activate the next step, fight the next step with them, and slowly take over the station. Really cool system and very enjoyable. Another part of the game is exploration. At the moment, you don't really find that much stuff to explore, but I tell you how it works. Exploration is something that will remind you of Elite Dangerous, for example. All of the exploration works with probes and looks a lot like a mini game. You use probes to find certain things, you use other probes to search for these things you're looking for, and it all turns out to be a mini game. So you send one probe that is called a merger, you send one probe that is called a booster after you found stuff in your system with a signal search probe. And then you're trying to meld all these signals together so that you find a new location on the map. These locations are not doing anything at the moment. I found a few. None of them were really interactive. I hope that this is something that will be worked on in the future. So yeah, it's there. It's a really nice mini game, but it doesn't give you anything beneficial at the moment. Got it.
Scan operation successful. The system includes a new signal point.
Another type of exploration is mining. Yes, you can also mine in this game. There are even mining ships. Mining can be done on foot or in ship, and you fly off to asteroid fields and you visually scan for asteroids. So you can see if an asteroid has got gold, I mean then it's shimmering golden, if these asteroids have ore or other stuff. And then you basically use your mining laser, and that reminds me a lot of No Man's Sky. It's a lot like mining in No Man's Sky, where you also visually see through colors what you're mining. And then you use a mining laser and you do basically the same mechanic. You mine off this part where the ore is located, and that way you gain this stuff in your inventory. Yeah, makes sense. The other guilds offer missions like bounty hunting in space, bounty hunting on the ground, where you also level up your character. Oh, and leveling up your character is a good next thing. Because your character has got 3 levels that you can level. You can level the soldier, which is the ground combat skill. You can level the pilot, which is the space skill. And you can level the adventurer, which is, well, the adventurer skill. The ground skill and the pilot skill decide on what kind of gear you can take, and especially they decide the level of gear that you can take. The gear is divided into 2 categories. First, the level, and second, the tier. So you can have level 8 equipment at tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Tier 4 is epic, and tier 5 would be legendary. Access to epic and legendary gear is acquired through upgrading your rank in guilds. At least that is the only thing that I know so far. Possibly it will also drop from better enemies or from better tasks. So yeah, there's looting on the ground, there's looting in space. Looting on the ground is done by just simply walking over to the loot, which is visible as a pink indicator. Looting in space is done through a sub-menu where you just gather some crates and you send out probes. It's very easy done, it doesn't take up too much time, and I think it's a nice way to do it. Send probe. So, what are the flaws in SpaceBourne 2? One of them is definitely that the AI voices are AI voices. They lack depth, they lack personality in some cases, and after a while they sound really monotone. But as I said, better some voice acting than no voice acting. At the moment we are in the early access version 1.3 at the time I'm recording this, and everything is very fluid. So the game changes a lot, and things that I'm telling you right now don't need to be like that when you are trying the game. To my amazement, visual bugs are not that prominent in the game. Rather, you have some mechanical bugs, like for example, your squad that you just called is just simply disappearing after a while or after a jump into a different system, but it still shows your squad in the UI. Pathfinding for quest NPCs or NPCs at all is a thing. Sometimes they are getting blocked in buildings, or they just simply not react to the actions you take. AI and NPCs are a big thing in this game, and the developer constantly works on it. Just recently the AI was completely overhauled, for example, and should work better in space fights. Although I think it was better before. Now the ships are trying to be really close to you and are trying to circle around you. That can be a little bit frustrating in space fights, as you're always trying to get those ships in front of you while the ships are always trying to get behind you. So you're constantly chasing them around you and your screen is basically all the time spinning. Diplomacy is being worked on at the moment. There are diplomacy managers just introduced into the game, so I won't talk too much about it. Also, I have not encountered it yet. Even after 20 hours of gaming, I'm not in the state that I could talk about faction diplomacy here. This is something for a video later down the line. Damn.
Target shields down. Target destroyed.
So, what are my overall thoughts about SpaceBourne 2? Well, it looks a little bit like a competitor to Star Citizen. And I see where you're coming from, and I know why you think that. If you haven't think about that, now you have to think about it. It's not always the most beautiful game, but it uses Unreal Engine 4, and therefore the base is already pretty good. The difference in this approach here of SpaceBourne 2 and the developer is, in my opinion, that this developer is heavily focusing on game mechanics and making his game playable and fun to play. And this is his priority. That makes the game fun to play, even though it's maybe not the most amazing one in a few categories, but just the amount of possibilities, and it's still being worked on, of course. It's just fantastic. Is it the perfect game? No. Does it do everything that it offers the best? Or does it do anything that it offers the best? No. But is it a platform that will give you a lot of different game modes and a lot of different options to a degree that it is playable and fun? Yes. That would be my conclusion. Tell me about your opinions of the game. How do you like it? You saw a few scenes. Maybe you're playing it yourself. Tell me about it. I would love to know. And if you want to see me playing, twitch.tv/CaptainCollins. There you can find me live. I'm still playing SpaceBourne 2 because it's just a good game. But we're also playing different space games there. So thank you very much for watching and have a good time. Nani?
Wait, how did you do that? $80 kilometers. What the heck?
That's it.
Target
I can't
destroyed.
see any activity around.
Nice.
You did a great job. Come to AXA. Your rewards are waiting for you.